anyways, Victor, I got a drink here. I'm gonna crack it open.
Oh, Joel, what is that? What's that
ASMR for the people.
Oh, what could that possibly be, Joel? For what occasion?
You know, you gotta, with everything going on, you gotta celebrate the little things.
You always gotta crack a cold one for the good time.
Cold one being Dole pineapple juice, not from concentrate.
Oh, natural, you say?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, sir, you do go on.
No, but I shan't. Because we're not sponsored by Dole. Also, I don't agree with the Dole company.
Yeah, why?
Because they kind of... this is a whole separate topic.
But just a little quick, just touching why.
Because they like... exploit the lands that they buy. Like, for example, the pineapple juice, they exploit like some farm territories in the Philippines. Like, they pay like dirt cheap to they like don't pay their workers enough. They over harvest, over plant, and then it leaves the ecosystem devastated.
Holy shit, okay. Holy fuck.
Yeah.
Like, it's funny you brought that up just because like the other day I was watching a video where a guy was like just giving the history of the what's that company called? The banana company, Chiquita?
Yeah, Chiquita Bananas.
Yeah, so he was just giving the history of it, and like, God, there's so many controversies and similar stuff to that, you know, like how they fuck up the land and also like the workers that they have, and it's just so messed up. But anyways, going back to the good.
Welcome everybody.
Hello.
To Cafe Talk number 56.
Hey guys, we missed you guys.
I think it's 56. I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
It is 56. All right.
Look at you, Mr. Good Memory over here.
Yeah. So we had that little thing about Dole and fruit companies.
Yeah. The fucking.
But what we said about them, you know, it doesn't just apply to fruit companies. It applies to a lot of countries and companies. Sorry.
Yeah, because they're in it just for the money. Like they'll do anything to just get more money. Like kind of like with the whole activist look. You know, like the LGBT community or the BLM people. Like when companies do that, most of them don't really care whatsoever. Like they just want more money. They just want to look good in your eyes so you could buy their stuff.
Yeah, but that's a topic for another podcast, Victor. Today.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
We're feeling inspired by Schoolboy Q.
What?
And we're going to talk about our school days.
Did Schoolboy Q do that?
I don't know. As his name just came up. I'm trying to come up with things on the fly, Victor. Okay.
I'm sorry. That just really caught me so off guard. I was like, why are you bringing up this old artist that I haven't heard of in a long time? I'm sorry.
Because his name is Schoolboy, and we were schoolboys before we became school men.
And he's Schoolboy Q, but we were Schoolboy Cuties. Mm.
Oh, see, there you go. You're getting it. Now we got a show. Now the ball's rolling.
Yeah, that's right, though. We are going to revisit some memories of school times.
Yep. And, I don't know who should start.
Well, first of all, what's going to be the question? Or do we have any questions? Or are we just going to dive right into the memories?
I don't know. I mean... Did we talk about this?
No.
I think we just talked. We just said that we just came up with a topic of like, you know, talking about stuff that happened.
Yeah.
In school.
Okay. Then I guess what I was hoping for is I have a question for you, Jolin.
No, you should have just said that.
I'm sorry. I apologize. I try to
lay the question
cool,
on me.
But you know, nobody could be so cool as you, Jolin. All right, I have to like work my hardest here to keep up with you. I'm sorry, senpai.
All right, what's the question, Victor?
Have you ever had a girl come up to you, or what? How many times has a girl come up to you and told you that they had like a massive crush on you, but like you never knew, like the whole time you knew them, you never even got a hint of it.
I want to say like 4 times.
Oh, damn. 4 times in total?
Yeah, but it was never like they came up to me and they were like confessing their feelings, it was always like a after the fact kind of thing, like hey, I used to, and by that time it was already too late.
Yeah,
they had a boyfriend.
Like once their feelings were gone and it, like you yourself might have not been interested anymore, that sort of thing.
Yep.
Yeah. That's actually my question. That's actually perfect. So tell me about times. Who are they?
3 of them were in middle school and 1 of them was in high school. And
wait, high school?
Yeah, it happened once in high school.
Was it the Mrs. L? Was it Miss Orange? Miss Cherry? Miss Cherry Pie? She my cherry pie. Was it
Listen. Oh, I didn't count her.
Oh, okay.
No, but the thing is like she never told me she liked me.
Oh, really?
Like I don't know.
Then who was it happened?
No, okay, you know what? Yeah, she never told me she liked me, but when I told her I had feelings for her, she like reciprocated them back.
Okay, yes, that's what I remember the story going for. So now I'm like just I'm curious, who was the girl in high school? Because I don't think you've told me about this.
Yeah, I did. I told you yesterday when we were talking about this. I'll bleep out the name. It was Hey.
Oh yeah. Okay, you did tell me about this. Yeah, no, I completely forgot about that. I forgot that that's who you were talking about. But for some reason, my mind didn't see it as one of those like last minute confessions. I remember you telling me that it was like she confessed to you that she had a crush on you, but she didn't have a crush anymore. And then you yourself were like never fully 100% interested in her, or at least at the time that she told you.
Yeah, kind of. I don't know, man. It was weird. It was like a very quick, like, oh, hey, I used to have feelings for you. And then I was like, what? Nani?
What? Huh?
But yeah, it was, I know, it was like that, but then at that point, like, I already knew she had a boyfriend, so I was just like, there's no point in talking about it.
Yeah, it's just more like
but I don't know why people do that. Like, they just kind of tell you after the fact.
Yeah. Like, is that some sort of movie trope or something?
I don't know.
Like, where do people get that?
Maybe it's like in the moment, they're too like embarrassed or self-conscious to tell you. But once the feeling is past, they like don't see it as a big deal. So it's like, it's the equivalent of breaking the news like, hey, I got a new puppy, to like, hey, I used to like you.
Hey, I got a new puppy. Oh man.
So yeah, I don't know, but yeah, like I thought I thought you were gonna open with a different question, because I was like, I got a school experience, but it's kind of a tearjerker.
Which one? Wait, did you tell me about this already?
Miss Sauerkraut and my journal.
Yes. Please share this story with everybody.
Okay.
God damn, it's perfect.
So for those of you who don't know, and most of you don't, I used to love writing. I wanted to be like an author when I was a little kid. I was like a pioneer in writing fanfic, because apparently I was writing Shrek fanfic when I was in like the 5th grade. Like my mom, she had given me this like notebook, and it was like a super nice notebook. It wasn't one of those like spiral ones that you pick up at the bargain store. It was actually bounded. Mm-hmm. It had a nice like blue marble cover to it, and it was a 5 subject notebook, but the subjects weren't separated by like that weird manila paper. It was by color. It was color coordinated.
Each page? Like,
no, each subject. So like, say one subject was like 90 pages. It was green, and then the next subject was like pink, and then the other one was blue and gray.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Like the pages in the subject, the
Yeah,
pages themselves were color coded.
yeah.
Like there were different color.
So it was a really nice
Yo, that
book,
is
and I
so
was
cool.
like,
I've never seen a
I'm
notebook
gonna
like
use
that.
this book, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
write the next American novel, the next great American novel at the age of like, I don't know, 14.
Yeah.
So I had this book and I was writing a bunch of ideas in it. And one day in 6th grade, I was in my math class. I had Miss, we're not going to say her real name. We're going to call her Miss Sauerkraut.
And it matches very well.
It does.
Yes, go on.
So she was my math teacher. And, you know, she was kind of strict, but I was always a good student. So in the back of my mind, I was like, I can get away with a lot of stuff because I was just such a good student.
Uh-huh.
So in the middle of math class, I finished my work. I'm waiting for everyone else to kind of finish up, and I get this like moment of clarity because I had writer's block on my Shrek fanfic.
Yeah.
And I pull out the notebook to write, and I start writing it down, and then out of nowhere, she just comes and like snatches a book from my hands. Ooh. And I instead of like, you know, getting mad and whatever, I just kind of accept the fact that like I was doing something that I wasn't supposed to do. So I'll just apologize. So I say, Miss Sauerkraut, I'm sorry for like, you know, not doing math, but I already finished. Like,
yeah, like you finished your assignment.
Else.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
like, I don't see it as anything wrong with that. I would do the same.
Yeah, but instead she like looks at me and then looks at my assignment and then looks at the book and then she closes it and she's like, you have to tell your parents to come and pick it up. And then at that moment, my heart like dropped because my parents were one of those parents that like after 3rd grade, they already knew I was a good student. So like every time you go to parent conference, you hear the same thing. Oh, your child is so good. He gets good grades, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So there was no point for them coming.
Mm-hmm.
So I go after class, I go up to her and I tell her, hey, Miss Sauerkraut, my parents aren't going to come and I explain that like my dad works night shifts and my mom is also, she works at a high school.
Mm-hmm.
And she still insists like your parents have to come if you want this book back. Like, you know, you shouldn't have been doing whatever in math. So I was like, fine, whatever. So the whole school year passes and I see the book on her shelf and I like even plot ways to try to take it. Like I was like desperate to the point where I would just run up to the shelf in the middle of class, grab it and run away. But I never did, and the school year ended and I never got the book back.
Damn.
And then the next school year happened when I was in 7th grade, and I kind of went back to her class to see, like, oh, maybe, you know, she still has my notebook, and enough time has passed that she'll just give it to me.
Yeah, in hopes that you'll just get it back.
But when I went into her classroom, I saw the shelf that the book had been on for the whole school year, and it was gone. She had thrown it away, or at least I suppose she threw it away.
Damn. So,
and that, like...
So when our school year finished for her class, she didn't even think of like, you know, telling you, oh, hey, you could have this back since clearly like it's already the end of the year.
I don't know. She just never did.
That is messed up, yo.
I know. And when I didn't see the notebook on her shelf, I was so like distraught, and I took it as a sign from like the universe that like maybe I shouldn't become a writer.
Jolin, no.
I know. But luckily, like my 11th grade English teacher kind of reignited that spark because he made us write like essays on whatever we wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Because we had to do an essay a week,
and that helped revive your imagination on the topic.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what's up.
But yeah, Miss Sauerkraut, I never forgot, and it cut deep.
And that's really messed up, like on a teacher's behalf, you know, like rather than just encouraging you to do what you like, you know, it's not like you were playing on your phone or like playing video games or whatever, or talking and bothering other people. Like you were keeping it to yourself and you finished your work and you were, you know, doing something that was quiet and waiting for the next assignment. You know, I personally don't see anything wrong with that. And the fact that she like just took it away from you and like pretty much hurt your enthusiasm to write new material is like, for me, it defeats the vision of what a teacher should be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I completely agree with you.
Yeah, it's very heartbreaking to hear stuff like that. But goddamn.
Miss Sauerkraut.
I just I imagine like you returning, I don't know, maybe in the future to with your kid, and she's some like old lady still teaching there, and you're like, "What, Miss Sauerkraut? You're still teaching?" And she's like, "Oh, Jolin. Oh, I remember you. How you been, son?" And you're like, "I hate you so much. Where's my notebook, old lady?" And then she's like, "What notebook?" I'm like, "Yeah, I knew you wouldn't remember."
I know. Imagine like I do visit her and she does have the notebook and she gives it back to me and I like look at what I wrote and I'm like, dude, this is garbage.
Or you look
like
at
all that build up for nothing.
or you look at what you wrote and it was like Shrek 4 all along.
Oh, I know, right?
The ultimate fanfic.
Yeah.
God damn, Jolene, that sucks though. Do you
No.
okay?
But whatever.
To counteract the sadness of that story, do you have any teachers that like you had a great experience with? You will never forget this experience, and not just like because they were cool, but just because they did something so awesome that you're like, you're a cool person. I like you. Did you ever have that?
I don't know. I'm trying to think.
Or maybe not even just that. It's like they inspired you, like they helped you like become or pursue a hobby or an interest that you never thought you would have, and they broadened your mind in that sense.
I don't know. I mean, only like 2 teachers come to mind, but like even then, they're not even that like impactful.
Was it the high school teachers?
No, there were middle school teachers as well.
Really?
Yeah. So the first teacher, Mr.
Cucumber.
No, Mr. Jackfruit.
Okay.
It'll give you a hint as to who he is.
Okay.
Because jackfruit is a very popular fruit in the Philippines.
Okay.
And I mean, that's the only reason why. Literally, like, he was like the first and probably like the only Filipino teacher I've ever had.
In our middle school?
Yeah.
He's Filipino?
Yeah.
For some reason I thought he was like Hawaiian.
No.
Okay, that makes I never really gave too much like a second thought to like his nationality, so I just accepted him for who he was. So I was like, he's a cool. Yeah,
because he even said that his dad worked for like the army or something, so they would always move around. Something like that. I don't know, but it stuck with me because like it was like he was, one of my people in a school full of like Hispanics and Latinos and stuff.
And honestly, in a school full like where you were one of the very few Asian students that we had in that sire school.
Yeah, I think it was only like me and my cousin.
Really?
Yeah, like the only Asian kids.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, now that I think about it, I honestly thought, yeah, holy crap, it was very like it wasn't as diverse as I remember it.
Yeah, it was like me, my cousin, and like a family friend.
Yeah, because our high school was way more diverse. Like we had,
oh hell yeah,
yeah. So, but middle school, my goodness, yeah, we had so very little diversity in the students. But that's what gave you that connection towards the teacher, right? That's what.
Yeah, and then the sad thing is like he wrote something really nice in my yearbook.
What did he write?
Like he said something like it was cool. Like I've actually like never had another Filipino student too.
Aww.
So we had that kinship, like that countryman kind of bond.
Yeah.
But my yearbook got destroyed.
Oh, because of the water?
Yeah, it got flooded and all the pages like got saturated with water.
Ah, Jolin, the memories, man.
I know, but I have my high school yearbook, so that's cool.
Yeah, I got that too, man. Oh my god.
I know.
The way I used to look. I used to be so sexy.
God, my high school yearbook photo is horrible.
Really?
I don't know why. Like even my mom was like, "Hey, you should get a haircut," and I was like, "Nah, it's okay. Like, who cares? It's high school." But I look back at it now, and I'm like, God, I look fucking disgusting.
Like, you agree? Like, you should have gotten a haircut at that time?
Yeah.
Why? I don't remember your hair being that bad.
If you look at it, it's pretty bad.
I'll go take a peek.
I'll post a picture like right here.
All right. Oh, who's that dork? Ew, look at him.
Yeah, I think we're overdue for a break actually.
Oh, really? All right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, stick around, guys. For our Spotify listeners, we'll be right back. And for people checking us on YouTube, we appreciate you. But if you are on the go and can't and prefer to just hear us, we're on Spotify and Anchor.fm. So we'll be right back, everybody.
And we're back. You know, that was a good little break.
Yeah.
Hopefully you guys stood up, stretched your legs, moved around a little, get that blood flowing.
Just, I mean, for those on the go, they're already pretty active, I suppose.
Yeah, and Victor, I believe it's time for you to hit us with a little story, anecdotes, series of unfortunate events that occurred.
in my school years.
Yeah.
Well, I can't really pinpoint a story specifically. Do you have any questions yourself? Like, would you like to know anything?
Did you ever get like a response, or was there an action that occurred that just like you did not expect it the way to how it went? Like someone threw a really hard curveball at you.
Oh, that's a good question. Yes,
Because I can think of one.
Yeah. Okay.
One instance.
All right. Mine is actually pretty short, so we'll listen to yours too right now.
No, I mean it's about you.
About me?
Yeah, like something like the thing that happened with the dean.
What?
Remember?
Oh, yeah, in high school?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I'll share that story too. All right, so the first story that comes to mind was the huge curveball of the nurse in middle school. Because apparently, I didn't know this, but, I guess subconsciously I did, but I never went to the nurse's office in middle school. And even when I had, like, a stomach ache or something, I would just, like, power through it. Whenever I was, like, when I had a cold, I would tell my friends, like keep your distance, I don't want to get you guys sick. But it was usually something minor most of the time, to the point where I could like continue with my studies no problem. So I never went to the nurse's office. And one day I think I caught something, or I ate something bad, or I think I had the flu, to the point where like I was on the verge of throwing up and my stomach hurt so badly. I actually asked my teacher, like, do you think I could like go to the nurse? I really am not feeling well. And they were like, luckily enough, I was with a pretty relaxed teacher, where they were like, yeah, definitely, like, we're close to the nurse's office, so if nothing's wrong, just come back, but let me know if everything's okay. And I'm like, okay, I appreciate that. So they let me go to the nurse's office, and I got there and the nurse was like, what's wrong? Like the typical school nurse stuff, where she's kind of used to the fact that kids just go there to buy time, or just for minor stuff that isn't really a big deal. So
Yeah.
she looks at me and she's like, what's wrong? And I tell her, my stomach hurts like really bad, and I feel like I'm gonna throw up, or at least pass out. And I got the sensation that this came out, like this incident or this excuse, she's heard it multiple times before. So she's like, okay, I'm gonna take your temperature, sit down in the chair, let me know if you want to throw up. The bathroom's right there, but if your temperature's fine, I'm gonna have to send you back, all right? And I'm like, yeah, no, that's totally fair, I understand. She took my temperature and it came out to like 101 degrees, and she was like, oh my god, that's really bad. Okay, I need to see your card like right now. And I was like, what card are you talking about? And she was like, your nurse's card. I'm like, kids get a nurse card in middle school? Like, what is, I've never heard of this. And she's like, you've never had a nurse card? I'm like, no. And I, to this day, I still don't know what the fuck a nurse card is, because I never got one, because I only went one time. But that was the instance where the nurse like took my illness like not just because of the temperature, but she took me 100% serious that something was like really wrong. Because I remember her assistant came in and she was like, hey miss, like what do you have today, like how many kids have been in? And she was like, there was me and some other guy. And she clearly, I remember her telling her assistant, like, that kid's okay, I think I'm gonna send him back to class, but this kid is really like sick. And the assistant looks at me and she goes, oh yeah, he looks like he's about to die, and I'm just sitting there with an ice pack on my head, and I'm like, yeah, I feel like dying right now. And then the assistant also asked her, so where's his nurse card? And the nurse was like, he doesn't have one. And both of them gave that look, like she gave the surprise look, and the nurse was like, yeah, I know. It's like this is serious. He's like, oh, have you called his parents yet? He's like, I'm trying right now. But apparently, because I've never gone to the nurse before, I'm guessing, I still didn't bother asking because I was just not feeling it. But apparently in middle school you would get a nurse card to have all your information so that she could like quickly search you up in the system and like put, that you went to visit, or put in the records that, you weren't feeling well that day or something.
Really? I never had a nurse card either.
Did you go to the nurse often?
Yeah, dude, in middle school, I went to the nurse one time because we were playing tackle football and we weren't supposed to, and I landed on my face and half of my face got cut up.
Ouch. Holy crap. But you never got a nurse card?
That's pretty badass.
Yeah,
No, I never had a nurse card.
I still got that awesome scar on the right side. But see, that's what caught me off guard too. Like, I didn't know we needed a nurse card, or
I thought they just looked up your information.
yeah, me too. I don't know. It was very strange, and that's what stuck with me. That like I was kind of proud of myself. Like, I've never been to the nurse's office, so the fact that I didn't have a nurse card, she took it seriously, and right away she called my parents, and that was the first time my parents ever came to pick me up from school, and they took me to the doctor to see if I was okay. Turns out, it was a flu, and the doctor himself gave me some like medicine and told me that I desperately needed to get my temperature down because it was really bad.
I see.
As for the story that you brought up, that was a huge curveball indeed. Because
that was a pretty big curve.
like it was in high school time, and I guess I had this resting face. Like, it wasn't resting bitch face, but it was this resting face of like constantly lost in thought. And I guess the dean, he would be patrolling like the lunch area during nutrition and lunch, and he saw my face, and I guess I looked down that day, or just so lost in thought that I looked a little depressed maybe, and he just straight up comes up to me, and it was when we were crossing the lunchroom, and it was with you, our other friend Edward that has been on the podcast, shout out to Edward, and myself, and I think other friends too, like our usual group that we used to hang out with. And he just comes up to me and gives me a big old hug, and I'm like, what the fuck, what's going on? And he's like, yeah, sorry bro, like you just look like you needed a hug. And inside I was like, you know what, I did. I needed a hug, and I didn't even know I needed one. Thank you. But on the outside,
but the thing is, the dean of our school was this like huge 6'5" like man.
Oh yeah, and he was like a husky dude. Like, he was built. So
yeah, like he looks like he was like, he was like a bench warmer for like the New England Patriots or something.
Exactly. And if anyone has seen our like face cam videos, you could tell that I'm a pretty big dude myself, and he made me look small.
Exactly. So that's why it stuck out a lot, because it was just like, oh my god,
he just like engulfed me in that embrace. And like I said, on the inside I felt relieved, and I was like, yeah, you know what, I actually did need this. I didn't know it. On the outside I just laughed, and I was like, thank you. Like, you know what, I myself don't feel like I needed one, but I appreciate the help. And he was like, yeah man, anytime, like if you want to talk about anything, my door's always open for you guys. I'm like, I appreciate that. It showed me that dean actually cared about kids' well-being. But that was a huge curveball. I was not expecting that.
I'm pretty sure I've told you this story, but I think I've never told it on the podcast. Did I ever tell you about the time that like I backhanded a kid?
Yes. Yeah, I think you told me the story.
Did I ever say it on the podcast?
No, I don't think you did.
Okay, so this happened in middle school, in 7th grade to be exact.
Yeah.
And in 7th grade, your body's changing, boys.
Mhm.
You start going through puberty, and you really stink.
Yeah, I was gonna say that you start smelling a little rank.
Yeah, so at that time, our school had lockers, but seventh graders had to share.
Yep, because we didn't have enough lockers.
They had to share lockers for seventh graders, and then eighth grade, you would get your own locker.
Mm-hmm.
I had to share this locker with this kid. We'll call him, Stefano.
Okay. I like that.
We'll call him Stefano. So
Yeah.
Stefano and I, we were friends, but just barely. Like we
Mhm.
were good acquaintances, much less friends.
Yeah, exactly.
And he had a history of just kind of being a dick.
Yeah, he had that aura of him of like he was extra not because that was his personality. He was just extra because he was desperate for people's approval.
Exactly. Before we get out of the locker room and go back to our actual class, we had to change,
Mhm.
or I think it was after. So like I get into my normal school clothes and I put my clothes in the locker, my gym clothes.
Yep.
And then he comes, takes my clothes out of the locker, throws them on the floor, and closes the locker.
Wow.
So I tell him, like, dude, what the hell? So I put in the combination, open it, put my clothes back in. He does the same thing, takes them out, closes the locker. And
Are
I
you
tell
serious?
him, dude, yeah, he's just being an ass.
What the? I thought he only did that one time. That is messed up.
No, he did it twice. And I told him, like, dude, if you do this again, something's going to happen.
Yeah.
I didn't know what. I didn't want to get into a fight because I don't like to fight.
Uh-huh.
But I threatened him. I was like, something's going to happen. So he was like, haha, all right, sure. So I put my clothes in. He does the same thing, fucking throws them out. But he doesn't close it this time. He just looks at me. And for some reason, I already had my hand, like, in a
Prepared.
fist.
Uh-huh.
Like, I knew I was going to punch him, but I was like,
No.
No.
I shouldn't.
no, this isn't a situation where you should punch someone.
Uh-huh.
So instead, I just backhand slap. I like slap him with the back of my hand, and it's like loud. It sounds like someone just slapped like, a piece of jelly.
Uh-huh.
Like everyone can hear it, and it was just a loud slap.
Yeah.
And I look at him, and then he looks at me, and you can see that he like is shocked and stunned, and he
Like,
wants
did that
to
really
like
just happen?
yeah, like he wants to like punch me or something, but then instead like his eyes get kind of watery, and he just leaves.
I guess he like realized that he deserved it. Like you warned him, and yeah, he still did it.
Yeah, so then I was like, all right, cool. That's not going to happen again.
Yeah.
So I leave the locker room, and then later throughout the day, people keep on coming up to me and they're like, dude, did you really like slap? Hey! And I was like, yeah, dude. And I explained the whole thing. And they're like, oh, he just told me like you just did it out of nowhere. Like you were trying to help him and you didn't want help. Or like he was trying to turn it around that like I like attacked him.
Yeah, like he made himself the victim.
Yeah, and then I tell him the real story, and then everyone's like, dude, like a bitch.
And they realized that he deserved it. He was like, nah, fuck that guy.
Yeah, but that was like the only time I've ever had a confrontation in school.
Yeah, that's damn, that cracks me up every time. Just
It does.
Just imagining the situation of you just like whoppa. It's so good because I myself was not very fond of Stefano. He like I mentioned before, he tried very
I think I
hard.
actually said his name.
Yeah, you said his name twice, so you just
Okay,
have
I'll
to
bleep
edit
it
that
out.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just bleep it out.
So I, like I said before, he was very desperate to get people's attention and approval. And I remember we were hanging out with my group of friends, and one of our friends, for some reason he picked him out specifically, and the friend that he picked out was very like tiny. He was like one of the shortest guys in our group, and he was the type that like he was very kind-hearted, but also at the same time a little bit of a pushover, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
And Stefano took advantage of that. He would mess with him in like those type of jokes where you were being really mean, kind of almost a bully, but then at the end you would say I'm sorry or haha, it's just a joke. And our short friend, he would be the type that, every single time Stefano would mess with him, he would just forgive him. Like, yeah, don't worry about it. Like, haha, good joke. Like, he would just go along with it. I remember every single time we would be hanging out in a group of friends, Stefano would come up and desperately try to be part of like the conversation or part of whatever we were doing. And multiple times I would have to tell him like, nah, dude, like this is just for us. We already made plans. Like, we don't really want to invite you. And I get the feeling he didn't like me because of that. Like I don't know. Like multiple times he just ignored me, and I was like, oh, even better for me. No confrontation, no issues. Like I felt like we were on the same page when it comes to our relationship. I suppose I didn't want anything to do with him, and he didn't want anything to do with me. But he just kept coming up, or at least we kept interacting because he kept trying to be friends with our short friend.
No, I see.
Yeah, so I never really bothered with him. And when I heard that you did that, I just started cracking up. I was like, I didn't even question it. I didn't like, because I actually heard the story where Stefano was the good guy and you were the one that was like, you did it out of nowhere. And I had no doubt in my mind. I was like, nope, Stefano deserved that. Like Jolin would never hurt anybody, and if he did do that, it's because Stefano pushed him too far.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's funny. That's so hilarious.
Yeah, fun times.
Funny enough, I've never had a confrontation story like that. I never really fought with anybody.
You never slapped somebody?
Yeah, no, I never slapped anybody, and I never had like an argument with them.
I don't know, dude. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think some people didn't mess with you in middle school because, like, you kind of look like a cholito.
In middle school, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because you were like this big dude, shaved head. You wore like the Dickies shorts.
Yeah. And then most of my shirts were pretty big. So they were long.
So you look like a little cholito, man.
Yeah, and I feel like that's why they weren't afraid to talk crap to me, because they thought I was like cholito, and that's how it is. Like they were just trying to step up. And but then when it came down to it, they got afraid, they got scared or something. Oh, okay. Did you ever have an instance where a teacher was being so absolutely ridiculous that they forced you to call your parents in hopes to get you in trouble, but in the end, like they're the ones that got in trouble for being so absurd with their punishment?
I think I've told that story on the podcast already.
Have you?
Yeah, I think I did.
Okay. Well, you know where I was going with this.
Yeah. There was our 6th grade teacher, Miss Guayaba.
Uh-huh.
Right. She had this thing where if you didn't do your homework, you would have to call home.
Uh-huh. Did you give her a Pizza Hut number?
No. There was a kid who actually did that, who called Pizza Hut.
That's classic.
I'll never forget. It was the funniest thing ever. Because I think after a couple times, she caught on. So, like, when he called the number, it's just like a Pizza Hut dude being like, stop calling us. It was the funniest thing in the world.
Just stop calling us.
Yeah.
But
I remember I had to call home a couple times.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I had an answering machine. And I already knew that the answering machine was full.
Oh, really?
So I would call home, and the answering machine would be like, we're sorry, the answering machine is full and cannot accept any new messages. Goodbye. And it would hang up.
Uh-huh.
And then I'll just be like, hey, Mom, I didn't do my homework. The teacher made me call home. I'm sorry. And then just be like, yeah, that was an answering machine.
Okay, I want to take it to like a real place now that you brought that up.
Okay.
If you were on the teacher's perspective, do you honestly believe calling home to tell their parents that they didn't do their homework or they were getting in trouble for this reason or that? Do you personally believe it's a functioning punishment? Like it would actually work?
I feel like for some kids it would.
Mm-hmm.
Like in my case, I think it would the first time. But for like other kids, like the dude who kept on calling Pizza Hut, um, like I feel like even if he called his house, um, his parents probably aren't invested in his education, so they probably wouldn't care. They just tell him like, do your homework next time.
Yeah, cause like
Or sorry, but like the worst imaginable thing would be like you call home and you don't know that the kid has like an abusive
parents.
lifestyle or abusive parents at home.
Yeah.
So by you instigating and telling them that like, yo, your son's not performing, you're like feeding that cycle of abuse.
Yeah, you only made it worse for him.
That's like the worst possible scenario.
And especially in at least the schools that we went to, I feel like most teachers that would actually give out that sort of punishment wouldn't take the responsibility to at least like investigate if domestic abuse is occurring and then try to stop it. Like they would just
No, exactly.
they would hear about it and they'd be like, okay, well, next, see, it's your fault. Like you should have done your homework. That way they don't get mad at you. That sort of stuff. But but weirdly enough, like my parents would be the type of parents where they would just tell me to do my homework and they wouldn't see if I did it or not. They wouldn't really care much. But not because they were bad parents, but because they knew I was smart enough to actually listen to them and actually do my homework. Or at least if I wasn't doing my homework, they knew that I was still succeeding in the class. And again, like we mentioned in a previous podcast or a playthrough, in the instances where I didn't do my homework for a class, I was still doing just fine with the tests and I was understanding the material. I just didn't feel like homework was necessary. I was going through my rebellious phase in high school where I was trying to hide a lot of things from my parents, and as an academic achieving student in middle school and early high school, I really didn't have much to hide from my parents. So aside from minor stuff, I didn't know how to rebel against my parents, I guess. I don't know where I'm going with that, but either way, point is, the only thing I was ever hiding from my parents during high school was my report card, because I would get a D, and normally my grades would be like B's. Lowest I've ever had was a C, but usually it was B and up. And when I had a D in my class, I didn't want to show it to my parents, and I learned how to forge my dad's signature. And I would, like, my teacher specifically would come up to me and be like, hey, here's your report card. I expect to see your parents' signature on this because I want you to show that to them, and that way it would tell me that they saw it. And I was like, okay, fine, whatever. And I would forge my dad's signature on the report cards and give it back to her like the next day. And when the parent teacher conference came up one day, she was like, I need to talk to you guys about your kid's grade. He's averaging a D right now. But I've seen his test scores and he could be doing much better. And they were like, what? Like he has low grade? Like we never heard of this. And she got surprised. She was like, what do you mean you never heard of this? Weren't you the one signing all his report cards? And that's when I was like, fuck, I'm screwed. Because she busted out like all the fake signed report cards and was like, isn't this your signature? And funny enough, my dad looked at it and he was like, yeah, that is my signature, but I don't remember signing anything. And my parents looked at me and I was like, I learned how to.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, no, I just straight up was like, I learned how to copy your signature. And they were like, what? And yeah, like I had to explain myself, and my parents were like, okay, we want you to get your grade back up. In the end, I managed to put it a C, so that way the teacher was satisfied, I suppose. And my parents were like, they weren't as satisfied, but they were like, as long as you're not failing, that's fine with us.
Yeah.
But ever since then, my dad has had a different signature because he knows that I could copy the previous one so easily. So now he just writes it entirely new and different.
See, I have a similar scenario as you.
Yeah.
But with the opposite outcome.
Well, why? What happened?
Because even if you got like an A or something, our teacher still told us like you have to get your parents to sign it.
Oh, okay.
And I would always bring stuff to like my mom and dad to sign, and then my mom was always busy, so she would just say like, "Oh, tell your dad to sign it." But then my dad just got tired of signing things, and he was just like, "Just write something there, just sign it yourself."
Yeah.
So literally, like my parent, like all throughout high school, my parents never signed anything.
It was all just
They
you
never
signing it?
signed permission slips. They never signed report cards. They never signed like actual documents that was like, "Oh, your son is gonna be involved in this."
Uh-huh. Like
Like
field
they never
trips?
signed anything.
Uh-huh.
Like I was the one who signed everything.
And they never caught on? Like your teacher never caught on to that or anything like that?
No, the teachers never caught on, and if they did, my dad would just be like, "Yeah, we told him to sign it because we're busy."
That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's a much better outcome.
Yeah. All right, kind of. I guess like one final question, and then we'll kind of close the podcast off.
Okay, sure thing.
Is there something that you learned, like a life lesson from elementary, middle, high school that has stuck with you?
That stuck with me.
If you need time to think, like I can go first.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So, after high school, or like towards the end of high school, I kind of learned this lesson of like you shouldn't take everything so seriously.
Uh-huh.
Because so like in high school, I guess I hit like a depressed phase. I went through like a very sad phase, or just like I wasn't my usual self.
Uh-huh.
Like any little thing would like just throw me off, and I had like a bad day.
Oh, okay.
And I think part of it was because I took everything seriously. Like I took everything at face value, or like I internalized a lot of things.
Yeah.
So if one of my friends was having a bad day and they would talk to me about it, like I would internalize it and I would feel bad with them.
Yeah.
And if something didn't go the way that I expected, or I wasn't getting the grades that I was hoping to get, like it really took a toll on me, to the point where like that thing with who happened senior year.
Yeah.
And yeah, after that I was like, I don't like the person that I am right now.
Uh-huh.
And I'm gonna work on that, because I was like, dude, I used to be like a super cool person back in the day.
Uh-huh.
And I think because part of it was like, I joked around a lot. I didn't take anything that seriously. So after high school, I was like, one, I'm going to work on myself. Two, I'm going to stop being like a hopeless romantic. And then three, I'm not going to take everything so serious. You know? And it really does like help a lot. When you stop internalizing other people's problems, when you switch your mentality from like, if you get bad news, it's the end of the world, to, okay, this is just a pause in your plan.
Like that the world doesn't stop spinning. Like you can still change the outcome to how you want it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like when people get a flat tire, there are those people who think it's like the end of the world, your car's broken, like freaking you don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And then there's people that are like, all right, this is just a minor inconvenience. It's going to take me an hour to like
fix it.
Put the spare on, go to a tire shop, get it fixed.
Yeah, exactly.
So I switched from that mentality of like it's the end of the world, my car's done, to like it's just a minor inconvenience.
That's good. Yeah.
And it's changed a lot. Like I've become a better person, I think.
Yeah, like if not, it definitely like it's helped with your enthusiasm to continue whatever your pursuit was.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's great. You learned that through high school?
High school and college.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I feel like even in adulthood, some people are still struggling with that same dilemma. And it's a hard lesson to learn, but good thing you learned it early on.
So that's my lesson for you kiddos out there, or people just starting college.
Yeah.
Just don't take things too seriously. Things will get better.
I mean, especially I feel like the difficult aspect of when it comes to that, especially in high school, it's all you know. You know what I mean? It's like you don't really go out much. You don't really have money or the way, the transportation or the time sometimes to experience the world to how it really is. All you really know is like the lessons, the friends, and the experiences you're receiving from high school itself. So that's your entire world right there. So in essence, when something does go bad, it kind of sometimes does feel like the end of the world, but only after high school do you realize that, you know, it was just a minor inconvenience. Like, it only felt like the end of the world because you were living in it time at every single day, you know, like that was your routine.
Yep.
But yeah, it takes a while to just get your mindset out of that and switch it up. That's really good. My lesson, it's not as impactful as yours, I gotta say. But I did learn what differentiates a teacher that cares about their subject, or at least cares about their student. And
Uh-huh.
it differentiates, like, or at least I was able to tell the difference in which teacher will actually benefit me from learning from them, and which ones are just, you know, pretty much in it for the paycheck. You know, like that's just their career.
Yeah.
I remember in high school, I had this teacher that was very strict. Yeah, she was a math teacher, and she is like the type of teacher where it's like, you have to do it my way, and if you do it any other way, even if you got the right answer, I'm still gonna deduct points because you didn't show your work the way I told you to do it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
um and that was my first glance at, like, maybe she doesn't really care about her students, you know. It's like, it was my first glance at, like, I understand she cares about her craft, and I understand that, like, she took, you know, pretty much her whole life to learn this subject. um and so I respected the teacher in the moment when it came to that. Like, she spent her whole life, so I should definitely learn from her, because in essence she kind of is an expert, or at least compared to my knowledge of the subject, she's an expert on the subject herself.
Yeah.
um so I would still try my best to learn from her, but because she was so strict on her way and her way only, it kind of limited your own creativity, or at least with people like myself who learn in different ways. You know, like there's the visual learner, and then like the auditory learner and all that stuff. She made it very difficult for other people who learned in different ways to accept her subject.
Mm-hmm.
And I was struggling for most of the year, and that was one of the teachers that, you know, I would get like a low grade in the class, like a C. And I told myself, like, I gotta push through, I gotta, you know, just try my hardest, because she is a good teacher. It's just that, like, I clearly need to work harder, and I did so.
Yeah.
And in the end, like, I understood the subject. I understood the subject. I passed with a good grade, but it was just so hard that it took the enthusiasm of wanting to learn the subject more than it should have, to the point where when I got into college, one of the professors passed around a little note to all her students, and she was like, or not even college, I think it was like senior year. Yeah, it was senior year of high school. And she passed around the note to everybody, and they were like, I want you guys to be free. I want you guys to talk to me, you know, like if I'm pretty much like pen pals. If you have any problems at home, or if you have any problems like mentally, emotionally, feel free to talk to me about it. I will not share this information with your peers, and I will not share this information with your parents or anybody else. Like, it's just confidential between you and me. And most people, you know, took that, you know, like they were very appreciative of that, mainly because
Mm-hmm.
it did help them release some stress that they were penting up, or it helped them, you know, vent. So it's a good strategy. But I myself took the chance of, like, from what I learned in the previous teacher, with the math teacher, I told her, I was like, okay, I learn in a very particular way. Like, in order for a subject to stick to me, or at least in order for the subject to find, like, pique my interest and make me want to be enthusiastic of learning the subject, I want you to make this class fun. And it doesn't have to be, and I even specifically told her in the letter, it doesn't have to be something incredibly, you know, drastic. It just has to be, you know, engaging, if anything. You know, it doesn't really have to be fun, it just has to be engaging. And literally her response to that was, what do you want me to do? That's not my job. You should take responsibility to make it engaging for yourself. And if you can't find it engaging, then I guess you're gonna fail this class. And
Dang.
yeah, and that alone gave me the huge red sign of like, I am not gonna enjoy this subject whatsoever. And I didn't. Throughout the rest of the school year, I didn't hate the class, but it wasn't one of the classes I was looking forward to going. And honestly, to this day, I didn't retain much of the information she gave out just because it was so boring. It was all lectures, and it wasn't even any like group projects. It wasn't any like freedom of creativity. It was all nothing but lectures and books and writing down notes. That's all it was. And I remember towards the end of the year, I confronted her about her response to my letter, and I told her, I was like, "Hey, can you at least can you please explain what you meant by this? It sounded kind of hurtful." And she was like, "No, I didn't mean it to be hurtful, but at the same time, it was the truth. Like, I didn't know what to do that would make it entertaining or engaging for you. Like, I'm not an actress up here. I'm trying to teach you a subject." And I told her, I understand that, and I'm not expecting you to put on a show for me every day. I just wanted you to make things interesting in the way like you assign projects, and it doesn't have to be group projects. It could just be projects for our own, like let us find our own way to understand the subject you're trying to teach us. And she was like, well, that's not my problem. Did you understand the subject? And I was like, well, clearly my grade tells you otherwise, because I think I got like a C or a low B in that class. And she herself was like, well, that means that you didn't work hard enough to make this subject interesting for you. And I was like, well, that just shows you don't care about the student, or at least the individual student. You know what I mean? Like, it just shows that you wanted to pretty much vomit up any information that you know, and wanted us to retain it for absolutely no other reason than the grade. Like, the grade is all that should matter to us. And I told her, I was like, that's not the way I want to learn, and that's not the way most people learn. And maybe you should change your viewpoint on that. And she's like, well, I'll take that to heart, and maybe I'll try something new for next year. And I was like, yeah, well, that's next year, like, not for me. Maybe you should have thought about this when you had me as a student, or at least came to talk to me personally about that. But no, in the end of the year, it taught me that there are certain teachers that actually care about you learning the subject, or at least are passionate enough about their subject that they wish to inform as many people as possible. And if a new challenge arises, like I set for her, they greet it with enthusiasm and like, okay, yeah, definitely, like, tell me how I could help you, tell me how I could make it more engaging for you. But she didn't care. She showed me that, like, not everyone's going to care, and those are the teachers that are going to make the class a little what's the word for it, not boring, but it would make it a little more struggling, like you would struggle to learn the subject properly.
I see.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know, it's unfortunate that there are teachers like that.
Mm-hmm. And that just carried on into college. That definitely carried on into like my college classes, where I myself didn't bother telling the professors that I wanted them to make the class engaging. I myself, like, tried it her way. I did try to make the subject engaging for myself, and it worked to some extent. Like, my psychology classes, I always wanted to learn how the human mind works, so I would make it interesting for myself. But other subjects, I was just like in it because I had to be in there. I didn't really care about the class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I've had some professors that are like that.
Mm-hmm.
But my learning style is different from yours.
Yeah.
So I can't really relate. Like, lectures do work for me.
Uh-huh.
Because I'm one of those people that, like, you can just throw information at and it'll stick.
Oh, okay. I see. That's good.
And then I hate group projects.
Yeah.
Which is funny because in computer science, you're gonna have group projects.
No,
except instead of a grade, it's your paycheck.
Exactly. I mean, I myself am not fond of group projects. Like I don't like that either. But when I did mention projects, at least to that teacher, I meant more just like kind of like that project that your teacher gave you, where they just wanted you to write down any story that comes to mind. They just wanted you to write every day, like that.
I see.
That sort of stuff. I find that very engaging and very liberating in creativity. So that's what I meant. Like that's what I at least would make it entertaining for me. And as for engaging, I would just ask them to to like listen to their students. You know what I mean? Like individually. Like I understand it's hard to do. It's very, because especially if you have like a class of like 30 or even 20 students, it's very hard to individually like set the class for every single person. But
yeah,
but engaging at least in the sense where if someone doesn't understand it, take the time to explain it properly. At the end of the week, after a quiz or after a test, ask everybody like, okay, who got this question wrong? Explain why you got it wrong, or at least like, can anybody that got it right come up to the board and show their work as to how they got it right? That's engaging to me, because it at least shows that like my peers, I'm not the only one that got it wrong, or I'm not the only one that didn't understand it. And showing someone else that isn't just the teacher themselves, show their way of thinking, show their way of like getting the correct answer, helps me figure out at least a new viewpoint to tackle the problem. You get me?
Yeah.
But she never did any of that, is what I'm saying.
I see. Well, Victor, I think this is a natural end to the episode.
Yeah, I agree. That was entertaining.
Exactly. But yeah, for those of you who are still listening, thank you so much. We appreciate it. We do the podcast for you guys.
Yeah. If you have any crazy stories from your school days, let us know down in the comments below.
Yeah, we definitely want to hear them, and we'll respond.
Yeah.
If, like we said, if you're on the go, you can listen to us on Spotify. It's the same great content, just now
mobile
on Spotify.
It's mobile.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps us out a lot. And we'll see you all next time. Bye, everybody.
Stay beautiful.